Welcome to the free video series, 5 everyday traps that make you fat, and more importantly, we're going to go into how to avoid them. I hope you enjoyed the first video training on the mistakes that you're making in the gym. If you haven't watched that one yet, make sure you go back and watch it, because fitness, exercise, working out, whatever you want to call it, moving your body, that's a critical component to not only improving your health, but to having the type of weight loss, the type of energy, the type of body that you ultimately want. So make sure you go over that one if you haven't watched it. Let's get into this one, and I'm really excited about this particular presentation because exercise, I try to share some things that you maybe haven't heard before, but in this, I'm going to go over some things that 98% of people don't know about. And that's why I'm super excited about it. And this is the stuff that after nearly 18 years of being in the fitness industry, of learning about nutrition and exercise and all the different diets out there, and being paleo before it was paleo, and going organic before there was a Whole Foods in every major city, I've been there. And what I'm going to share with you here are things that where I've transitioned over to. And I think it's going to make sense as we get deeper into the training, if it doesn't right now, but a lot of it has to do with things that you should know, but nobody's telling you. So let's get into it. Does this sound like you? You wish you ate better. And what I mean by eating better is to get the results that you want, whether that's to lose body fat, lose weight / body fat, or build muscle. Maybe your partner loves to cook and you can't resist indulging. You're getting older and gaining weight every year. In fact, I'm recording this at the holiday season, right? The end of the holiday season. This is the time of year where most people put on the weight and they don't take it off. And they repeat that year after year after year. And that is how, after 5 years or 10 years of doing that, you're 10, 20, 30, 40 plus pounds heavier than a few years ago. Another issue that constantly happens is people get injured doing crazy workouts and now they can't exercise. So their level of activity, in other words, the calories that they burn, goes way down. And a lot of people want to make health a priority, but they don't know where to start or if they can really stick with new eating habits, because it's super time consuming to do the research to figure out what to do. We're going to cover a lot of what to do in this video training. Also, you wish you weren't confused and overwhelmed by all the health and fitness information on the internet and in the media and magazines. Here's the thing. I've been in the business for nearly 18 years. Like I said, it will be 18 years in February. I know exactly what it is to be confused and overwhelmed, especially trying to find the best information to use with my clients. And I'll tell you, it was quite an ordeal to be able to sift through all the information, to figure out what is worth paying attention to, what is worth, what I should ignore, and what is maybe important but not super important. So I'm going to try to clear a lot of that up for you here. In fact, one of the things that I hear from my coaching group and my coaching clients is that I'm so glad I have you as my coach. I just listen to you. You tell me what to do. I do it. I get results. And if I don't get results, I bring it up to you and you figure out how to troubleshoot it. And that's what I love to do as a coach. So hopefully I'll clear up some things about nutrition in this training for you. And in case you don't know who I am a health and fitness professional for the past, like I said, nearly 18 years. I've been in the trenches working with people like you. I've also worked with celebrities like Richard Branson, Robert Downey Jr., Ricky Martin. Most of my current personal training clients are CEOs of multi-million-dollar companies, guys who are very successful, but also very stressed out and very time limited to what they can do in the gym and following nutrition habits. They have a hard time most of the time, even though they're very successful in business. I also work with a lot of different people in my coaching group, mostly professionals, mostly people who are doing well, and people who are motivated to change. So really love what I do. And I'm trying to tell you that I'm not an internet marketing guy. I didn't learn some internet. I wasn't an internet marketer and decided to do some fitness. This is what I've been doing my entire adult life. And I've never been at a better point than I am now. And I'm learning all the time, especially because I get to sit down in my podcast, the Legendary Life podcast that I host every week, and sit down and ask experts about their expertise. So you and I can benefit from people who are willing to sit down and share their best tips, tactics, strategies, and tools for an hour for free. It's just an incredible time to be in this business. And even though I've been in the business for many, many years, I've never been learning at a faster rate than I am now, and it's because of the podcast, and it's there for you to listen to for free. So make sure you go and check it out. It's got over 1 million downloads, over 300, nearly 400 5-star reviews, and just growing from there. So let's get into it. You're here because you want to look and feel better, but what you're doing probably isn't working. Or if it is working, you want better results. Or maybe it did work, then it stopped working. Those are all common situations. And that's what I do as a coach, is troubleshoot, because nothing works forever. No diet, no exercise program. And that's something that doesn't get repeated enough in the mainstream, right? Is that everything stops working eventually, and you have to know where to take the next step. And that's what I try to do as a coach, and that's what I'm going to try to do for you in this video training. You know the saying, if staying in shape was easy, we'd all have washboard abs. The thing is, modern life is practically designed to make you fat. It's not intentionally designed to make you fat, but the combination of doing or having a sedentary lifestyle, right? I'm sitting right now, I'm working right now doing this video training for you. I'm not out doing manual labor. And the abundance of food, where we've got a restaurant or a fast food joint on every corner, convenience stores. We all go to Costco and stock up on all types of things we probably shouldn't be eating. But if you're prepared for the body saboteurs that will come your way every day, and if you're in the modern world, they do come your way every day, you'll be better equipped to fight them. So watch on to prepare for battle. 5 traps that make you fat. And I love this picture. It's so exemplary of the situation that most of us are in right now. The briefcase signifies our organized, structured, hardworking lifestyles. And what do we typically do? I mean, that burger looks amazing. I don't know about you, but I want to have a burger right now just looking at it. And that beer actually looks pretty good too. I'm not a big beer drinker or a big drinker in general, at least not anymore. But I tell you, just looking at that right now makes me kind of want it. Can you relate to that? Well, that's partly what we're going to get into. And the first thing I want to tell you is that you're wired to eat. You're wired to want that food. Nobody wants to overeat, and certainly no one wants to overeat for years, become overweight, and end up with a high risk of diabetes or heart disease. Yet 2/3 of Americans do precisely that. Even though we know better, we often eat too much. So the question is, why does our behavior betray our own intentions to be lean and healthy? Why is it that we know so much but don't act on it, or can't act on it, right? Because you sit down at a restaurant and all your friends are ordering beers and burgers, and you're trying to have the superfood salad, and there's a lot of pressure from all different aspects. And you know what? Willpower doesn't always get you through. So what I want you to understand is that you're wired to eat. You're wired to consume as much food as possible, as much food as your body says you should eat, rather. And you're wired to be physically lazy. And I want you to understand why this is. We evolved in a environment where food was scarce, and if you wanted it, you had to go and get it. And you didn't go to Publix or Fresh Market or Whole Foods. You had to go hunt it, or you had to go gather it. And you know what? Game sometimes traveled, and you'd have to travel with them. So there was no staying in one place. And then, a lot of foods are seasonal. And during the winter, I mean, what plants grow in the winter that you can go and harvest, or I'm not even harvest, right? We're talking about pre-agriculture. And with the advent of agriculture 10 to 20,000 years ago, that's when things started to change. That's when we were able to plant our roots, so to speak, and grow, or pun intended rather, and grow food so that we didn't have to spend all our time running around and getting it. And that led to the Industrial Revolution and many other breakthroughs. And it led us to our modern world today, where food, that's for farmers, that's for people who are in the restaurant and food market business. That's not what we do, right? I do education for people on nutrition. And the point I'm getting at is that we're designed to live in an environment that no longer exists. A very harsh, a very scarce environment when it comes to food. And now we have those same genes, those same instincts that make us want to overeat, because you never know when you're going to get your next meal, right? Before agriculture existed. But we don't have that problem anymore. But we still eat like there's a famine coming. And the reason is your brain. You are completely wired to be this way. And this is one of the big ideas. I hope this doesn't sound too sciencey or too far-fetched or anything like this, because this is what the science is now telling us. And what I'm talking about is neuroscience. We're finding out that our brain works against us, at least in modern life. It used to work for us back in the pre-agricultural days. Now it works against us. And you have to understand, and why I'm saying this is so many people feel like there's something wrong with them. Oh, I'm not motivated to exercise. Oh, I'm not motivated to eat better. And it's like, of course you're not. That's not how we come wired. You have to learn those things. And if you didn't learn them as kids because your parents weren't interested in eating healthy or exercise, then of course you don't feel that way. There's nothing wrong with you. It's just that nobody taught you how to do that because it's a learned thing, right? And even if it is a learned thing, like I grew up exercising, my dad got me into it, even though he ended up having a lot of health problems, ended up getting into very poor health. But that initial connection with exercise, it put me on the path. That said, I'm still subject to all the things that you're subject to. I can't have goodies in my house because I will eat them until they are gone. And we'll get more into food environments and controlling your food environment to decrease your likelihood of overeating. But right now I want to tell you, you have something in your brain called a fat thermostat. Okay, it's not called that. It's what we're going to call it. It's actually called your hypothalamus, but fat thermostat sounds a little bit, easier on the ears, right? So your hypothalamus, it does many different things, but one of the things that it does in relation to food and weight loss is it regulates your hunger. So when you get hungry because you haven't eaten in a while, your hypothalamus releases ghrelin. That is a hunger hormone. It makes you hungry, and it's responsible for that grumbling feeling in your stomach when you're right, when you start to get a bit low on food, low on energy. It makes your stomach grumble, and it motivates you to go find food. So let's say you eat food. What happens is your body releases leptin, which is your satiety hormone. It lets you know, hey, we got food. So brain, chill out now, right? So here's how this works against you. Let's say you're overweight right now. Let's say you're 10 or 20 pounds overweight right now, and you've been that way for maybe 6 months, maybe a year, maybe a few years. Your brain wants to keep you exactly how you are right now, okay? You've changed slowly over time to be who and what you are right now. And we're just talking about physically, right? The amount of body fat, the amount of muscle. Your body doesn't want to change. That's why it's so hard to build muscle. That's why it's so hard to lose body fat and to keep it off. What happens when you go on a diet and start exercising so that you start changing your body? Well, your brain, your hypothalamus says, you know what? We're eating less food. We need to maintain this weight because you never know when that famine's going to come, right? Because this is our pre-agricultural brain, our Paleolithic or not Paleolithic brain, but it's the brain that's designed to function in that pre-agricultural environment. So what happens? Your brain starts to release ghrelin. It knows you're eating less. It knows exactly what you're doing. And so it releases a hormone that makes you want to eat more. And I'm sure if you've been on a diet, you've experienced that very uncomfortable feeling of being hungry. Maybe you tried the lean cuisine, maybe you tried Weight Watchers, and yeah, okay, so you're eating less, but you know what? You are starving. And I don't know about you, but I hate being hungry. It's a very uncomfortable feeling, and it can even disrupt your sleep at night if you're underfed. So that's what happens. Not only that, it also downregulates leptin. So it's making you crave food, and it makes you less satiated, less satisfied when you eat. That is an issue because every time you go on a diet, and the more drastic your diet is, this is what you're going to be fighting. Okay, so understand that your brain is working against you, and you're doing a lot of things that you're probably not aware of that are kind of controlled by this system. Another thing to keep in mind is that when you exercise more to burn more calories, what happens? You get hungrier. Why? Same thing. Your brain says, hey, listen, we're expending a lot of calories. Let's release some ghrelin to stimulate some hunger so we get some of that energy back, because we come from an energy scarce pre-agricultural world. That's how it is. So the point I want you to take away from this, if that was a little bit sciencey, is that your brain works against you when you're trying to change your body. When you try to eat less, your brain tries to stimulate you to eat more, and it does it hormonally. When you try to exercise to burn off some of that fat, your brain stimulates you to eat more to put back the calories. So it's constantly working against you. Now, we're going to get into how to change your behaviors, but I want you to understand you've got to learn how to work with this system. Otherwise, you're always going to be like, oh, okay, I'm going to go on a diet. Oh, I hate being on this diet. Oh, I feel like I'm depriving myself. Oh, I feel hungry. And then, of course, how long are you going to stand that, right? Of course, you're going to go back to your old habits. So we need a different approach. The solution is to change your eating habits, like I said. So one thing that you can do is eat slower. Eat slower. I know that doesn't sound like, oh, well, here's the magic fat loss food, which fat loss foods don't exist. There's nothing that you can eat that's going to burn fat, okay? There's just eating less, all right? Or eating whole foods. We'll get into that more. Here's a tactic, though, and I'm telling you, try this out. Don't listen to me. Don't believe me. Try this out. Eat slowly. Why do we want to do this? Why is this so important? Why is it a game changer, Ted? It sounds kind of dumb, right? Well, here's the value of eating slowly. We talked about ghrelin, which is your hunger hormone that makes you, right, makes your stomach grumble, makes you seek food. Then you have leptin, which lets your brain know that you're satisfied. Here's the thing. Leptin doesn't fully signal to your brain after you eat until about 20 minutes. And I want you to think about this. I don't know about you, but I've overeaten a few times in my life, and I felt stuffed afterward. But the interesting thing was that I ate the food right away, but I didn't feel stuffed right away. It took tens of minutes, right? 20 minutes before I got that stuffed feeling. However, I already had the food in my stomach. So what is the issue with that? And the issue is it takes that long for your body to signal to your brain that you are full. In fact, you ate too much. And can you relate to that? Has that ever happened to you? Of course it has, right? unless you're an undereater, right? Which most of us aren't. So think about that for a moment. It takes 20 minutes to signal to your brain. That's why you can stuff down 3 plates at a buffet and feel okay, but then you feel terrible in the car leaving the buffet, right? You feel horrible. And why did it take so long? I just shared with you why. It's this signaling that happens. So that is critical, because this will help you if you eat slower, and we'll get into some tactics for that. You will let your body, you'll give your body time to register your level of fullness so you don't end up overeating. You'll also have an improved sense of satisfaction when you listen to your body instead of feeling stuffed, or instead of that stuff feeling that comes on. It'll actually help improve your digestion, which digestion is a whole nother topic, which we're not going to get into, but it's super important. Also, you'll eat less food, i.e. less calories, without trying, just from eating more slowly. In fact, there's also some research that shows that people who eat more slowly end up drinking more water. Of course, you got to have water there instead of wine, beer, soda, sweet tea, or whatever, but you end up drinking more water while you eat. So this is a game changer right here. And don't take my word for it. Go and try it out. Now let's get into some tactics. Okay. Next time that you eat, sit down in front of your plate without distractions. Look at the plate as you eat. Pay attention to how much is left. You can even pull out a timer and divide your plate into quarters. Now try to eat 1/4 of your food on your plate every 4 minutes. Pause, make a mental note of how you feel, then move on to the next quarter. And here's and what you may be thinking is, Ted, really 4 minutes for 1/4 of my plate? That's 16 minutes to eat a plate of food. I don't have that time. And that is precisely the thing that's making you fat. That is exactly the thing that's making you fat. You're looking for the magic fat loss formula, the fat loss food, the fat loss supplement, the best diet. This is the issue. You are eating too much because we're all in this environment where we're inhaling our food. And listen, I'm guilty too. I used to eat. Now I practice what I'm telling you here, but I used to eat like I was in maximum security prison. I gotta hide my cornbread because the other inmates might want to take it or something, right? That's a joke that someone made, because I used to inhale my food, and I used to have a lot of digestive issues as a result of that as well. So you've got to slow down. If you want to make a real change in your body, you've got to slow down. Here's another couple of tips. How to practice mindful eating instead of the mindless eating. Remove distractions, because I don't know about you, but if you're watching Game of Thrones, Stranger Things, whatever, the Walking Dead, whatever series you're watching, those are the series that I like anyway, and you're sitting there and it's really intense what you're watching, and you're not paying attention to what you eat, you're going to eat more. Now, I'll be honest with you. I don't do this all the time. And sometimes I eat in front of the TV, and sometimes I eat in front of the computer. However, I want you to do this as an experiment, just to get in touch with what you're doing, okay? With to be more mindful. Also, slow your pace. Try to chew each bite 15 times. That is another thing that you can do. So you can finish every 1/4 of your plate in a 4-minute period. You can also chew each bite 15 times. And this is what I personally do. I chew each bite 15 times, sometimes even more, before I swallow. Also, put your senses to work. Try to enjoy the food. People used to criticize me and say, "Hey, Ted, you inhale your food. You didn't even enjoy it." And I used to say, "Yeah, well, I enjoyed it when it was going down, but I didn't really enjoy my food." Now I enjoy my food much more when I take time to eat. Again, this takes time. However, this is the thing that's making you fat, not the lack of supplements, not that you're on the magic, not that you're need to be on the next trendy fat loss Hollywood diet, right? Also, don't judge so much what you're eating or how you're eating. Just focus. Try to be more aware in general if you have a hard time making better decisions. Even if you're eating a crappy diet, which you should change, and I'll tell you about what you should be eating. But just doing this, you'll eat less, you'll be more mindful, and you'll have a better experience eating. So try it out. Here's another thing. Like I already mentioned, looking for the next miracle diet. And look at this product. Lose up to 10 pounds in just 48 hours. Does that make you want to buy that? Of course it does. We all want instant gratification. We want results yesterday. Hell, a week ago. However, it doesn't work. You can't rush biology. Okay, just like you can't tell a pregnant woman, "Hey, listen, we don't have 9 months. You got to pop that kid out in 6 months. Okay. That's how ridiculous it is it sounds ridiculous. You would never expect a woman to be able to do that. However, we all expect our bodies to react like this. We've got to start to understand our bodies and work with the way that it works if you want to have lasting results. Now, I don't know if this works or not. I would bet many dollars it doesn't. And even if it does, it's going to work by giving you massive diarrhea or dehydration or, who knows what's in there, right? I didn't look at the ingredients. But it's not, I guarantee you that even if it did work, which most likely doesn't, it's not going to lead to lasting weight loss. You can't drink something and change your life. It just isn't going to happen. So why are you always looking for the miracle diet? Well, we're wired to be that way, and marketers take advantage of that. And you want to lose weight yesterday. Like I said, you wanted to lose weight a week ago, probably a year ago, and you want to look better tomorrow, right? Because you have something on the weekend you want to look good for. And I want to tell you, it's not about dieting. It's not about popping supplements. It's about understanding the principles of nutrition to get fit for life. And if you're not on board with this, then you're watching the wrong series. Go on to Amazon, buy this, and, enjoy the up and down emotional roller coaster that you go on, because you're trying to shortcut the hard work, which it is. It's hard work. I'm sorry to say that, but it is what it is. Rome wasn't built in a day, and your body is not going to change immediately. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some work. So here's what you need to be doing, because so many people, they say, okay, well, you know what? I'm going to go on a diet, so I'll get the reduced fat potato chips. I'll get the reduced fat Oreo cookies, and that's how I'm going to get better results. That's how I'm going to lose weight. That is not how to do things, okay? Eat whole foods instead of diet foods. This is critical. You shouldn't even be on a diet unless you have these principles down. You know who should be on diets? People who get up and do physique or bodybuilding competitions. Boxers or MMA athletes that need to make weight for a specific competition that they're in. Those are people who need diets, right? Not you. You need to understand basic principles. And once you have that down, then you can focus on diets if you even need to. But what do most people do? They try to diet food their way to a better body. And so what are whole foods? Well, this is a perfect picture of whole food. How many ingredients are in broccoli? 1. How many ingredients are in eggs? 1. What about fish? 1. What about beef? 1. What about chicken? 1. What about grapes? 1. Nuts? 1, right? Almonds? 1. These, if you did nothing else than eat slow and eat off of this picture here, you would not need any diet. You would not need to read the latest diet book. You would not need anyone else to tell you what to do. If you followed those two things, you would clear up 90% of your issues, okay? But the problem is we don't do that, right? We scarf down our food. So in other words, we eat too much, and we don't eat off of here. We end up eating the reduced fat Oreo cookies. Ooh, 30% less fat than original Oreos. This is going to help me with my weight loss. Listen, I'm not telling you to deprive yourself or never have an Oreo cookie. I love Oreo cookies. They're amazing. However, if you truly want lasting weight loss, you've got to change your habits. And this is something that you have every great once in a while, instead of like, hey, I'm going to have reduced fat Oreo cookies as my dessert every night. It's not going to happen for you. You've got to make the change. Now it's up to all of us. I'm not telling you, just really quick, I'm not telling you you need to look like a magazine cover model, because some people may think, you know what, Ted, I'm not going to deprive myself or live my life that strict. Listen, we all have to figure out where we fit into the health and fitness continuum. There's really unhealthy on one end, and then really healthy and boring right on the other. I'm not going to tell you that I don't eat gelato sometimes, but understand Your habits, what you do, is what gives you your body. Okay, genetics is part of it too, but we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what you can control, because you can't go back and pick your parents, pick different parents. And what I'm telling you is, if you want results, you've got to do what it takes to get results, and not results for someone else, but results for you. Okay, and this, what I'm telling you here, eating whole foods and eating slowly, that gives results for everyone. So let's talk a little bit more why you should choose whole foods, a whole foods lifestyle instead of crazy diets. From both a nutritional and weight loss standpoint, it is smarter to eat a well-balanced diet all of the time than to eat like you want without regard for nutrition most of the time, only to go on a special diet when you feel overweight. This is what I do. This is what all the fitness professionals, everybody who you know who looks like they're fit, this is what they do, except for those few people who can eat anything. They eat a whole pint of ice cream every single night and they never put on weight. We're not talking about those people. We're talking about the real people, because I don't know about you, but if I eat ice cream every night, I'm gonna get fat. Okay, I'm not different than you, but my biology is not that different than yours. However, my habits are probably very different. So understand, stop going on the special diets when you feel overweight. You've got to change your eating habits, if you want lasting success, that is. The latter option is unsustainable and sometimes even unhealthy. Though reducing diets work when properly followed, they are not necessarily well balanced nutritionally. And we know diets work. Guess what? Diets work. The problem is people do what? Yo-yo diet. In fact, there's research showing that the more diets you've been on, the more up and down you are with your weight and the more fat you have on your body. That is not where you want to end up. So if there's a trend that's saying, hey, listen, if you're one of those people who goes on diets all the time, you're probably a lot fatter than people who aren't. Because I've got news for you. I've never been on any diet. I focus on principles of nutrition. And this is what I teach. Okay, principles of nutrition. I've never tracked my calories or macros. I've never gotten the South Beach diet or the paleo diet or the whatever diet. I'm not telling you never to experiment and not to learn things and to try things out. I think that's great. But if you're eating like crap and then going on a diet to not eat like crap, and then you lose the weight, then you go back to eating crap, and you wonder why why you're not able to keep the weight off and why you put more weight back on, then I'm just trying to tell you it's not rocket science, okay? Far from it. Also, reducing diets have a fatal flaw, which is that they always end, right? That's what I just talked about. Returning to a poorly balanced regular diet after going off a reducing diet will all but certainly result in new weight gain. And people put the research is clear. People put on weight after they go off of a diet. It happens with the majority of people. Everyone and anyone can lose weight. It's not hard. It's keeping it off. That's the hard part. Does that sound like you? Does that sound like you understand? Like, can you understand that from an experiential perspective? Like you've been there? So let's get into the other thing. Another thing. This is something you're going to hear a lot more of. You don't control your food environment. We're all looking for the magical diet, and then we try to follow it, but we don't go into our pantry and change things around and get rid of all the garbage. In fact, look at this picture. Does that look familiar? I've seen pantries that look exactly like this, although this is pretty bad. I can't see one thing in here that is halfway decent, right? I mean, they're all tasty, right? They have even nerds, right? Hot tamales, goldfish, Pop-Tarts, Pringles, Swiss rolls, Cracker Jacks, cinnamon buns. Luckily, I don't like or eat any of this garbage. If I'm going to eat some junk food, I'm going to have some gelato or some ice cream, something good, or key lime pie. I had a key lime cupcake the other day. It was amazing. But you know what? I had one, and I only bought one. And I do that for a reason, because if I buy a dozen, I'm eating a dozen probably that same night. So I want to ask you, what are you eating? What are your friends ordering when you're out with them? What type of ambience, what type of food environment are you in at home? What type of food environment are you in at work? What type of food environment are you in when you're out with your friends? All of this matters because you can't rely on willpower. So control your food environment. I'm not telling you not to hang out with your friends and watch the game and eat wings and drink a lot of beer. You can do that every once in a while, but if that's several times a week, then it's no wonder you're having a problem. Okay? Here's something that you can do. Oh yeah, this is a great, I mean, we're going to get into some really important stuff right now. That was a guy peeking into his refrigerator. So what do? Keep healthy foods visible and readily available. Keep a bowl of fruit on the counter and cut up vegetables in the refrigerator. That is the only thing that should be on your counter is a bowl of fruit. I want to ask you, do you have the pretzels, the candies, the cookies, the cereal out? Well, you're way more likely to eat those things and to overeat those things. So keep tempting foods out of sight. I want you to do this right now. Get them out of the house entirely or put them in opaque containers and either on high shelves, and even better than high shelves, put them away. Hide them in the pantry. Why? Because we know that if it's out on the counter, you're more likely to eat it. If it's in the kitchen, but kind of away from where you are, you're less likely to eat it. If you have it in the pantry behind, hidden away, you're less likely to eat it. If you have it in a room far away from your kitchen, you're it's even less likely to eat. So we are constantly signaling to ourselves all the time, oh, look at that, let's go eat it. Try to get rid of the temptation by putting things out of sight. Okay, so use a small plate when eating. Here's another one. We talked about finishing your plate, taking 4 minutes for each quarter. Well, here's another thing that you can do. Buy smaller plates. Why? Because there's research that shows that the bigger your plate is, the more you're going to fill it up. How do we fight that? How do you control your portions without tracking macros or counting calories? Have smaller plates. Now, I want you to get to the point where you don't have snacks in your house. However, I get it. Maybe you have kids. Are you going to have kids who have their friends over and you're not going to have like some pretzels or goldfish or whatever? Of course you are. If that's the case, now I don't have any snacks like this in my house. I've got nuts. I've got dried fruit. I've got fruit on the counter. I eat a lot of carrots and celery sticks when I'm wanting to snack. Why? Because that's all I have. Because if I had the other stuff, I would eat it. But if you're going to get the pretzels, if you are going to get the Oreos and whatnot, buy smaller serving sizes. Because if you just get the huge big bag that you bought at Costco, the value bag, right? That's just huge and full. You're more likely to overeat. And let's face it, none of us are in that good a control. None of us are. That is the big secret, right? We're all like, oh, I don't know, I eat healthy. Yeah, right. We all overeat. We all eat too much, and we all eat things that we shouldn't be eating if we want to be in the best shape possible. So we have to learn how to work with these instincts that are constantly sabotaging us in this modern environment. So whether you have a cookie bowl sitting out instead of a fruit dish, it's all these factors that we think we're too smart to be fooled by that end up being our demise. Okay? Get that through your head. I hope that is a big paradigm shift for you, because that is something that nobody's talking about. Hardly anybody is talking about it. So you starve yourself to lose weight. And we already talked about how when you cut down calories, your brain through your hypothalamus starts to upregulate ghrelin, which is your hunger hormone, because it wants you to put those calories back. Now we're going to go a little bit deeper. So let me guess, you want to lose weight, right? And you think to lose weight, you need to consume less calories. You're right. You want to, you're trying to, but it's just not happening. That's most people's experience of weight loss. So what do we do instead? Let's talk about some basic principles, because again, I don't know about you, but I hate being hungry. So I'm going to tell you how to build your meal in a way that will help you feel satisfied. So build your meals around protein. Why? Protein makes you feel more satisfied, so it stimulates that leptin response a little bit better. It also will help you, if you're in the gym working out hard, it will help you build more muscle. So those are two things. It will also help you to avoid eating the starches, the other things by keeping you full. So build your meals around protein. What I tell my clients is ask yourself when you're about to eat, what protein should you have? What is going to be my protein for this meal? This is something you should do with every meal that you have. Okay, you can get a little fancier once you master this. Like I sometimes I'll have just a plant-based meal with very little protein. But that's not where I want you to be right now. I want you to ask yourself, what is protein, right? What is the protein for this meal? Examples of protein: beef, steak. There's even some brisket there. Parmesan cheese is very high in protein. Chicken, fish, eggs, yogurt, cottage cheese. So milk. I don't drink milk, and I'm not going to get into it, but it is high in protein. Okay, so those are all examples of protein. That's what you should say. Let me ask you though, what do most people do in the morning? Do they have a 4-egg omelet? Not really. They have maybe 6 ounces of milk in some Cheerios or Frosted Flakes or granola or whatever it is. And so they have very low protein and high carbohydrates. And so what ends up happening? Well, in an hour and a half, you're really hungry again. Whereas if you had that 4-egg omelet with some spinach and some feta cheese, you would be satisfied for many hours. So that's the importance of protein. The more you lift weights, the more protein you need. And also, the older you get, the more protein you need. You know what a huge issue for older people is? Sarcopenia. You've probably heard of osteoporosis or osteopenia, where you start to lose calcium in your bones. Well, sarcopenia is when you start to lose muscle. And that is what degrades our health, makes us so that it's hard to get around and do the things that we love to do. Protein can help you do that, and the older you get, the more protein you need. And like I said earlier, lifting weights means you need more protein as well. So ask yourself, what protein am I having every single meal? And if breakfast is a few ounces of milk, or even worse, almond milk, which has like 0 nutrition in it, and it's all cereal, then there is no protein in your meal. If you are having a soup and a salad for lunch, and the soup is just some beans, or it's chicken broth, but there's no protein in it, and your salad is all vegetables and there's no protein in it, you are not doing this, right? You've got to have protein in every meal. It's going to help you so much. It's going to help you feel satisfied, so you're not feeling hungry, so that you're less likely to gorge later on when you get back home and snack on all those things because you ate the soup and salad for lunch and you thought you were being so good, and then you get home and start pounding pretzels and snack cakes, right? That we need to avoid that, and by focusing on protein, it's going to help you. Another thing that you want to do, eat vegetables. Build your meals around vegetables and protein. You cannot go wrong with this advice. Everything I'm telling you, if you follow it, you will never need any other nutrition information, unless it's to take you. It's like, hey, well, I can see my abs, but I want to get super ripped, okay? Or I want to eat in a certain way to increase, my zinc or magnesium or vitamin K content or whatever. But if you do this, weight loss will not be an issue for you. So what are some superfood vegetables? Superfoods, by the way, just means nutrient dense. And why are nutrient dense foods important? I want you to think about this. Let's think about Oreo cookies. Oreo cookies have a lot of calories for the size of food, very little nutrition. Let's contrast that with some kale. So very little calories and a ton of nutrition. Do you see the issue there? Do you see that we're usually not getting enough vitamins and minerals and phytonutrients and all the other good things, and we're getting a lot of calories, versus how we should be eating if you're going to eat the way I'm telling you to? You're not getting as many calories because you're eating whole foods, and which you're going to be most likely a lot less likely to overeat, right? Because who's going to sit there and pound a bushel of kale, or I don't know, a bunch of kale, versus like if you have, I don't know about you, but I could easily eat like half a loaf of French bread if I had it. I can definitely eat a pint of ice cream, no problem. But am I going to sit there and eat a whole thing of spinach or kale? Actually, I do that, believe it or not, but it's something I've learned to do over the years. It's not something that comes naturally. I had to learn how to do that. So that's the importance of superfoods and nutrient dense foods. And let's get into something that you may not have heard about or seen before, the list of best superfoods. And the CDC did some research looking into the most nutrient dense foods. And they didn't use the word superfood, they used powerhouse foods. And here's a list of the powerhouse foods, the 41 top powerhouse foods that they did research on. So if you are, and look at the top 10: watercress, Chinese cabbage, chard, beet greens, spinach, chicory, leaf lettuce, parsley, romaine lettuce, collard greens. How often are you eating those? Okay, how often are you eating any of these 41 powerhouse vegetables and fruits? If you're like the average American, not very much. Okay, I just had watercress salad the other day. I just cooked a stir fry with Chinese cabbage the other day. I haven't had chard in a while, and I had some beets recently. I didn't have the beet greens, but I eat spinach all the time. I eat chicory all the time. I eat romaine lettuce all the time. I don't have some of these others. I eat broccoli a lot. I eat kale a lot. So I'm eating off of there all the time, and I'm not trying to brag to you, but what I am saying is that these are the habits that keep me lean without going on diets, without stressing about like, oh, I got to cut my calories. This is what I do, and it works. Okay, and look, sweet potatoes on there. And kohlrabi, I have, by the way, if Thomas is watching, Thomas is one of our group members. He eats kohlrabi a lot. He's German, and now I got to share with this. I got to share this with him right away to show him that number 23 is kohlrabi, because he was the first time I ever heard it. Even though I've seen this thing, I kind of bypassed it. So there you go. Do a screenshot of this and keep it for yourself, and start eating vegetables off of that. Watercress is number one, and we do an amazing watercress salad. Giselle makes an amazing watercress salad with pecans, with a lime, a citrus dressing, and it's just, watercress is amazing if you know how to make it right. Excuse me. So next time you eat, take a good look at your plate. Pay attention to how you build your plate. How much protein are you eating? How many vegetables do you have on your plate? What types of vegetables do you have? Are you eating off that superfood list? Because you should. How many servings of carbs are you eating? How about healthy fats? All things to consider. So let's go to the next thing. So research shows the average person gains somewhere around 10 pounds during the holidays, which is a pretty substantial amount. And sadly, most people will never get rid of that weight. That's what I already talked to you about. Holidays come along, you're super stressed, sorry. You become super stuffed because of the stress eating, because you got to make the holidays perfect for your kids, for your family. Maybe you got to hang out with some family that you like to hang out with, and sometimes you got to hang out with some people you don't like to hang out with. So, and then grandma's cooking. You can't say no to grandma's pecan pie, right? Or the sweet potato pie with the marshmallows on top, and it's full of brown sugar, right? You can't say no to that. So we overdo it on the holidays. So how can we go about that? Well, everything I already shared with you can help you, right? Eating slower, making sure you build your meals around protein and vegetables first, and then eating the other stuff around that, because you're going to eat a lot less if you have that the turkey and the side of collard greens before you get into the marshmallow covered brown sugar sweet potato, serving a sweet potato, right? So here are some other things that you can do. Work out with weights before your big meal. And by the way, I know we were talking about the holidays, and the holidays are kind of over, but this is what you should be doing next holidays, and this is what you should be doing before you go out with your buddies and indulge, drinking too much, eating too much, whatever it is for you. Work out before. That way, those calories will go into fueling your muscles instead of filling out your waistline. A little picture of exercise there. They don't look super happy, but you know what? They're working off that the holiday meals, right? Another thing, eat your food slowly. We already talked about the importance of this, but again, I want to reiterate it, because if what happens during the holidays, oh, I feel stuffed. I ate too much of grandma's stuffing, too much of mom's pecan pie. Eat your food slowly. You'll be a lot less likely to overeat and avoid that stuff feeling. And again, this is stuff that you can use all the time. Follow all the solution mentioned in this presentation. In fact, watch it a couple times or take notes. If you don't want to watch the whole presentation, just take notes and look at it. But get this through your mind. Adopt some of these things. I'm not just sharing this because I like the sound of my own voice. This is, in fact, I don't like the sound of my own voice. I have a hard time watching and listening to this stuff afterward, even though I've been doing a podcast for years. But follow all the solutions mentioned in the presentation. Try them out. Don't believe me. Try to prove me wrong. I'm fine with that, but do them. The thing is, we don't do what we know. So I want you to do these things. Okay? I want you to put it into your daily practice. So how to control your food environment. We already kind of went over this, but I want to reiterate, keep healthy foods visible and readily available. Keep a bowl of fruit on the counter. Cut up vegetables in the refrigerator. I actually do these things. If you come into our house, there is nothing but a bowl of fruit on the counter. There's no snack. There's no jars of pretzels or whatever. Okay, keep fruits on the counter. Keep cut up vegetables in the refrigerator. I eat a lot of carrots, believe it or not, as snacks. In fact, that's exactly what I'm a little hungry right now. That's exactly what I'm gonna go and do. But it's because I've not only trained myself to do that, but I control my food environment, and you can do this too. Keep those tempting foods out of sight, either out of the house entirely, which is ideal, or if you've got kids and they definitely need their fix of junk food, and their friends need the fix of junk food, or it's just you're just not ready to make that bigger leap, then get opaque containers and store that stuff away, preferably on high shelves or deep into your pantry, okay? Use a small plate when eating and buy small serving size snacks. I just wanted to reiterate that one for you. Another thing, whether we have a cookie, right, I just wanted to tell you again, whether we have a cookie bowl sitting out instead of a fruit dish, it's all these factors that we think we're too smart to be fooled by, those that end up being our demise. I want to go over this again because it's so important. Everybody wants like the magic weight loss supplement, but this is really what we need to be doing. So next time you eat, be aware of what you're eating and apply these solutions to stay fit for life. If you do what is outlined in this free training, you will not need any other basic nutrition advice. You will have it handled. And that's what I want for you. Okay? And if it's and if you're overwhelmed, or maybe you say, okay, Ted, well, I know what to do. You've given me a whole list of things to do, but I have trouble implementing them. I get it. Maybe you're overwhelmed. Maybe you don't think that you can actually follow this on your own. And that's why you have three choices. You could quit altogether and say, you know what, it's too much work. I know you didn't watch this entire presentation to just quit. Another thing you could do is you could go at it alone, hoping to get better results. And I'll tell you something, if you implement what I shared with you in this training and do it today, you will start to get better results right away. However, if you want to shave off days, months, weeks, years, and you can let an expert help you get better results by using proven strategies. I help people implement this. I know how to troubleshoot when they're having an issue. I can help you get into better shape. Here's someone who enjoyed the meal plans that I gave them, who joined our coaching program. This is Adrian, and she's high-fiving Mark, who lost 10 pounds within a couple weeks of joining the program. And this is, you can't believe, you have 2 workouts, YouTube tutorials, 4 different workouts to choose from, a 3-day, a 4-day, a body weight, and a gym program. Then the meals include a shopping list, breakfast, lunches, dinners, and pictures. And we go even beyond this. Now we have a new PN program that is nutrition coaching. We have this nutrition coaching program that everybody's doing in the group, and it's just helping people change their habits. It's just amazing. And what's your time worth? Expert advice will save you time and money. In fact, one of the things that I hear all the time from my group clients and one-on-one clients is that, you know what, I just trust in you. I know you do your research. I know if I come to you with a problem, you know how to solve it. And as a result, I'm spending less time reading blogs and articles and trying to figure this stuff out for myself, because I'll tell you something, there's no way you and I, look, you're better at me than whatever it is that you're an expert in, but there's no way you can come close to competing with me when it comes to learning and implementing this stuff. I've been doing it forever. I speak to experts all the time, and I'm not bragging, but I'm telling you, I can help you. And if you want to cut down on the learning curve, and if you want lasting change, let me help you. I will save you time. I will save you money. I will get you the results. So see you in the next live training, 5 top secrets for fitness success and how to get started today. I can't wait to share this one with you because I think it may be the most important one out of these 3 videos. But I want to reiterate, make sure you try the stuff out that you learned today. The people who are successful, they learn something, they go try it out. Don't be one of those experts who knows everything but hasn't done anything. You can't. Maybe you read a book on riding a bike, but until you actually sit on the bike and pedal and learn how to balance, you do not know it. You will not get those results unless you implement this stuff. So go and implement and look forward to the next training. I know I am. Talk to you then, and have a great one.